90s kids, what do you miss the most about back then? Story 1. Undeveloped land. I miss that more than anything. In the suburbs, there was so much land still not developed that you could run around with your friends and hop in and out of different areas. Kids actually had places to go play. Now I look at my kids and I tell them to go play outside, and I have a hard time figuring out where they'll go to play. When I was a kid, we had a random bamboo forest in one part of our neighborhood. You could build forts out of the bamboo, and there was massive hidden trails. Now it's all houses. We also had 8 public soccer fields. They were massive. Besides soccer, you could go shoot model rockets, ride out on your bikes, hunt for bugs, fly kites. Now it's an elementary school. They all are. And the soccer fields that are remaining are private and don't let you utilize them for things. And any remaining forests where we used to go and shoot fireworks or our pellet guns and slingshots have been replaced with more houses. Back then, everything was mixed. You had trailer park homes not far from middle-class homes. All my friends had bikes, and we'd all ride from one person's house to the next, not caring about money. Now all the trailer parks are gone. There used to be street hockey, street soccer, roller skating. Now it's not safe to do that. We could go hunting horned lizards and snakes. Now you'd get yelled at some Karen for disturbing the peace. Story 2. The feeling associated with the 90s and that balance between technology and human interaction was almost perfect at the time. The ability to be completely unreachable, it was bliss. I'm still unreachable. People started getting pissed off that I didn't pick up or message them for months. It's crazy to me how available people expect each other to be right now. Story 3. I miss waiting for new magazines to come out. The best days. I used to read Vogue, Bazaar, 17, Sassy, and whatever else was there cover to cover. I'd draw pictures from my wall. I went to Goodwill and I tried to recreate the outfits I saw. Remember the perfume samples in all the magazines? I miss them so much. I read almost all the fashion magazines, so I had a stack of those samples and could wear different scents every day. It was great, and I'm so thankful that I was alive during that period. I can't imagine growing up now. Story 4. I miss living in the moment and being present instead of everyone trying to take perfect pictures to capture the moment for posting on social media. I have a young daughter and realized that she doesn't like her photos on social media. So now I'm moving away from that in general. I have accounts, but it's not the same. I take photos of her for friends and it stays among the parents. Story 5. This has more to do with being a kid than growing up in the 90s, but how everything felt exciting. Anticipating and waking up for Saturday morning cartoons, having to wait for the next episode of Dragon Ball Z, school field trips, trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards, recess, school cafeteria, sitting in class and noticing that it was snowing, and everyone rushing to the window to watch the snow fall. The biggest thing I probably miss is what gaming used to feel like. There were limited games back then. But man, every game felt like a new life experience. Every game seemed fun. As kids, we have an uncanny ability to live completely in the present. I currently have more games than I know what to do with, and I don't feel excited playing any of them. I feel like I have to force myself to play. This then begs the larger question. Is the fact that we now have a stupid level of access to movies, games, TV shows, food delivery ruined these experiences? Or is it simply a matter of growing old and being less excited because these things are so familiar to us now? Story 6. The world was a better place. The Iron Curtain had come down, Russia was becoming a democracy, and for the first time in a generation, the US military budget was coming down and there was a peace dividend. The bomber base that I'd been stationed in was about to be closed as part of a large downsizing of the military. The US budget was balanced for the first time in decades, and there was serious talk of paying off the debt completely in the near future. China was taking tentative steps in the right direction, and the world was in an almost optimistic place. And then it all went to hell. Story 7. I distinctly remember Pop-Tarts being made with real Smucker's jelly, and McDonald's fries were so much better. Toys R Us had regular Pokemon events, and Blockbuster on Friday night with pizza was the norm. There were also a lot of now discontinued snacks that were absolutely amazing. Pizzeria's pizza chips, PB crisps, Butterfingers BBs, Jelly O pudding pops, Philadelphia cheesecake bars, and waffle crisps. Oh, I miss that. The freedom. I would just go wherever the hell I wanted, more or less whenever I wanted. The mall 10 miles away? No problem. We jumped on our bikes and rode there, crossing numerous multi-lane streets. Downtown to get a lunch and walk around? No problem. We walked to the nearest bus stop and either took the bus or rode the train. Our parents knew, but as long as we were home before dinner, and as long as we didn't get in trouble, they were fine with us doing damn near whatever we wanted. Now my sister has 4 kids, and she drives them everywhere they go. Their aunt lives like 10 minutes away by bike, on all suburban streets, and even the 13-year-old can't just ride his bike over there for risk of getting stalked by some predator or something. Story 9. The privacy and anonymity. There were very few cameras except for the real suck-butt hardwired ones, and no way to really positively ID anyone with much reliability except personal testimony. Road travel was anonymous unless the cops called your info into dispatch or had a file in their shitty old cruiser. And even with such files, there was no sharing the information or broadcasting it with other agencies or departments except with a whole bunch of effort. Now it's like, I pulled into this shady parking lot last month and have anxiety ever since because of the impact it might have on my credit score. Story 10. I miss the cartoons, and how every Friday a cartoon character would host Cartoon Network. I miss the Halloween specials. I miss being excited for life. I miss having to look at the TV guide, then yelling to my mom what was on a certain station. I miss TRL and the old musicians. I miss the commercials and how catchy they were. I miss VHS and the previews of movies that I would regularly fast forward through. I miss watching Supermarket Market and having my mom count down while I went and got something for her in the kitchen. The holidays were so special back then too. And trailers for movies were way cooler. I miss crossovers from kids' shows and how the Rugrats going to Paris was a big deal and how them growing up was an even bigger deal. So many memories. Story 11. Somebody pointed out how most of these comments are about technology. Don't get me wrong. Modern technology is great, but as time goes on, we're losing what life was like before all of this. I miss not being able to easily find an answer to something, like having to actually put effort into learning what you're curious about, and the sense of accomplishment from not only learning it, but from doing something other than just Googling it. I miss being able to disappear completely for a short time. I grew up in Kansas City, and when I was in high school, the city basically stopped at 119th Street. That was a quick hop in my car and 10-minute drive out into the country. Just driving around listening to tapes or CDs, and gas was affordable enough that I could do so. When I got older and could afford a nice stereo, nobody knowing where I am, no phones ringing, no expectations for when I'll be back, it was nothing but pure bliss. Something else about that time, more of a social thing, there was lots of hope for the future. We knew technology was exploding at a pace not seen before, but we looked at that with excitement, not realizing giant corporations would grow and figure out a way to profitize literally everything, and turn the world into this dystopian nightmare. I think that really speaks to the naivety we had about society back then. Well, these stories were kind of depressing, but that's it for today. So if you liked these, and if you were a 90s kid, please comment down below. I'd love to hear more stories, because I was a 2000s kid born in 99. And as a car guy, I loved 80s and 90s cars, and often think about what life must have been like back then. The simplest things were so cool that now are just standard. And I'd love to hear your stories down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and comment. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. That's all for today, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.